Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Sunday morning and today we gonna discuss about new technology upgrade in gaming world of consoles. It's PS5 Pro, including its release date, design specifications and lot more. The PS5 is a powerful machine, but the PS5 Pro is an exciting prospect for gamers looking for even better performance out of their consoles. We love the PS5, but Sony advertised it as a 4K resolution 60 frames per second machine, which it is in some cases. However, in most games, we either have to choose full 4K resolution or smoother 60 frames per second gameplay. The PS5 Pro should be able to bring true 4K 60 FPS gaming to our TVs. Combing that with HDR and some great graphics of modern Sony exclusives, we have a winning combination. We are not disappointed by the performance of the base PS5, but we have seen the green pastures of high frame rate gaming on PC, and cannot wait to play PS5 exclusive games at a higher frame rate. The demand for a high-performance PS5 was always there from the start. Rumors suggested Sony would release both the PS5 and PS5 Pro together to cater to budget-conscious and hardcore gamers alike. However, as we know, we only got the digital-only and disc versions of the PS5. A PS5 Pro is likely at some point in the future, but the question is, what can we expect from a more powerful PlayStation 5? Sony kickstarted the trend of releasing mid-gen home console upgrades during the PlayStation 4 generation, with the PS4 Pro back in 2016, a more advanced system capable of 4K visuals and higher frame rates, a first for home consoles. Microsoft followed suit with its own mid-gen refresh a year later, the Xbox One X. Much like the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One X trumped the original Xbox One in almost every department. Nintendo has always had a habit of releasing upgraded hardware during a console generation, though the company tends to refine an existing design as opposed to making something more powerful. The Nintendo DSi, new Nintendo 3DS, and Nintendo Switch OLED are all good examples of Nintendo making improvements to its original hardware, but not overhauling technical specs to a notable degree. The PS5 has just had its year-and-a-half anniversary on sale then, but that doesn't mean Sony isn't drawing up plans to release a more capable model in the coming years. It's unclear right now exactly what a PS5 Pro could improve upon, though we still haven't seen any 8K resolution support on PlayStation 5 as of yet, and we'll have to wait for a PS5 Slim if we want to see a noticeably smaller console. Still, it's always fun to speculate and round up all the rumors, so let's deep dive into the possibility of a PS5 Pro. We'll make a few predictions along the way. While nothing has been officially confirmed yet, reports suggest PS5 Pro could launch by 2024. During a recent press event, electronics company TCL had claimed that PS5 Pro and an upgraded version of Xbox Series X and S will be launching in 2023 or 2024. If Sony is planning to launch PS5 Pro by 2024, it could start sharing some details about it next year. We can make an educated guess for when the PS5 Pro will be released alongside its price, based on what Sony did with the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro launched in 2016, which was 3 years after the original PS4 came out. That means we could see a PS5 Pro release as early as 2023. Then, as the PS5 launched in November 2020. However, the COVID-19 pandemic and ongoing component shortages could push a PS5 Pro launch well into 2024 or beyond. In terms of price, the PS4 Pro launched at the same price point as the original PS4, which was $399. We've recently seen the PS5 get a price hike, with Sony blaming this on soaring inflation globally. So the PS5 currently costs $799.95. It's likely that Sony could offer the PS5 Pro for the same price point, assuming it follows the same strategy it did for PS4 Pro. The biggest factor around a potential PS5 Pro for many people will be what price tag PlayStation attaches to it. The current PS5 costs $499, but is still hard to come by, so there are more than enough gamers happy to pay the top whack for one. That, and considering the PS4 Pro consistently sat at around $100, more than the base PS4 for their respective lifespans, suggests you could be expected to cough up a similar amount more. It could be though that Sony releases the PS5 Pro at the exact same price as the PS5, while making the base model cheaper, much like it did with PS4. In terms of release date, it has been suggested that Sony will follow the similar 3-year release gap as it did with the PS4 Pro model, making the PS5 Pro likely for late 2023. Indeed, the Red Gaming Tech YouTube channel's sources claim exactly that, although it could slip to early 2024 if the ongoing chip shortage continues to have an effect. This impression was compounded in late May 2022, when TCL held a press conference about future TVs that indicated it expects a PS5 Pro model to release in either 2023 or 2024, alongside equivalents for the Xbox Series X and S. It isn't a guarantee of anything, since TCL is ultimately speculating itself too. But this does make an eventual PS5 Pro look more likely than ever. History tells us that Sony would release the PlayStation 5 Pro a few months later than the PS5 Slim. At least that was the case last generation with the PS4 Slim and PS4 Pro. However, unlike the Slim version, we don't have a long history of Sony releasing mid-generation upgrades. There was never a PS3 Pro, PS2 Pro, or PS1 Pro. The PS4 was launched in 2013, and the PS4 Pro model was released in 2016. Going by their pattern, the PS5 Pro release date should be late 2023 or early 2024. A Polish website PPE recently got some photos in a TCL event. TCL is a major TV brand getting traction for its affordable yet technologically modern TVs. The photos show TCL's plans and include the new PS5 Pro and Xbox Series console. According to the photos, Sony might release the console around 2024. Of course, TCL doesn't have any official TV partnership with Sony. Sony makes their TVs, so a collaboration with a majorly Chinese brand seems a bit far-fetched. So there's a big chance TCL is also speculating about the mid-generation console update here. Regardless, their guesstimate seems to match ours. Looking back at PS4 and PS4 Pro, both consoles had similar design, with Pro being a bit thicker than the standard PS4. Similarly, the PS5 Pro could have similar design as the PS5, but it could be a bit thicker to accommodate the brand new advanced hardware. There haven't really been any leaks about the PS5 Pro design yet. The PS5 is already a gargantuan machine, which means that unless Sony can make drastic improvements, a PS5 Pro could match or even exceed the size of a regular PlayStation 5. A similar situation occurred with the PS4 Pro, which was bigger than the original PlayStation 4 by some margin. Thankfully, a PS5 Slim will likely be available around the same time for those who really want a smaller system. We imagine that, much like the PlayStation 4 Pro, Sony's design will build upon the existing futuristic look of the console, but could include some additional flourishes that aren't present on the current system. When the PS5 was first unveiled, its design was an immediate talking point, all white and black contrast, and those large wingtips make it an even more imposing installation on whatever TV stand or countertop you put it on. That's equally true of both the standard version and the digital edition. That trims away the disk drive for those who don't want or need it. It raises an interesting question about the next version of the PS5, though will it stay in the same aesthetic? Based on the precedent of the PS4 Pro, we think it should stay pretty similar, but we'll be interested to see if it gets bigger, since the PS5 is already pretty huge, or whether it can in fact manage to squeeze even more power in a smaller frame. TCL has claimed that PS5 Pro will offer up to 120 FPS gameplay at 2160p resolution, and it will be capable of playing games in 8K. The electronics company has also said that the PS5 Pro chip could be equivalent to the upcoming AMD Red on RX 7700 XT GPU. Reports suggest that PS5 Pro's performance could be twice as higher as the PS5. The console is expected to come with advanced ray tracing, rendering techniques, and reconstruction techniques. It has also been seemingly confirmed that AMD is working on next-gen RDNA graphics chip based on Zen 3 architecture, which is expected to be used for PS5 Pro. The console is also expected to be cheaper to produce, allowing Sony to address the issues with limited PS5 stocks. PS5 Pro is expected to be built using Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company's new fabrication process called N6, instead of the current N7 tech. Hopefully, Sony will share some details about PS5 Pro specs soon. This is where things get a lot harder to predict. The PS5 is already an extremely powerful console, capable of 4K gaming at 120Hz in specific titles, ray tracing, and generally sumptuous visuals across the board. A PS5 Pro would certainly help developers hit even higher resolutions and frame rates, but it's unlikely to represent a tangible leap, like we saw going from 1080p to 4K. However, with the PS5 still unable to output any games at 8K, despite the feature being advertised on the console's retail box, perhaps the PS5 Pro will target the next-gen resolution standard. We've already seen one game, The Tourist, running at 8K 60 FPS on PS5, but you can only view it at 4K currently. 8K isn't widespread right now, but in 3 years' time, 8K panels will likely be more affordable and accessible to non-enthusiast consumers. Let's not forget that Sony also manufactures TVs, and the Japanese company might want to use the PS5 Pro to push sales of its 8K sets, Similar to how the PS3 helped win the disc format war with Blu-ray, the PS5 Pro could sport an AMD Zen 4 CPU and RDNA 3 GPU. But we've seen that both Microsoft and Sony decided to go with a slightly souped version of the Xbox One and PS4 CPUs and its upgraded models. So, we'd expect to see more investment in the GPU than the CPU with the PS5 Pro. The PS5 is a powerhouse of a console, as is clear from the exclusives that it's so far hosted, with graphical highlights in the form of Demon's Souls, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and more. When the PS4 Pro was released, it had a fairly clear selling point in the form of its 4K capabilities, which was a resolution that the base PS4 simply couldn't cope with. That sort of easy USP isn't as obviously available for a PS5 Pro, but even this early in its cycle, you can tell that outputting at 4K with graphical flourishes like ray tracing is a real strain for the PS5, just as it is for the Xbox Series X. 8K televisions are starting to spread a little, so it's possible that true 8K support for gaming could be on the menu. But we suspect that the technology is still too cost-prohibitive to be worth it for Sony in the next year or two. Instead, Sony might take the approach of more iterative improvements, like an upgrade to the console's CPU and an increase to its slightly small storage at 825 GB presently. A job listing posted in May 2022 by AMD suggested that it's working on a next-generation RDNA chipset for consoles, so this would corroborate the idea that the chip at the console's heart will get a sizable upgrade, although it doesn't provide us with any more firm information on that front. A recent patent filed by Sony's Mark Cerny also suggests that it thinks it can eke more ray tracing performance from its console by increasing the efficiency of how a graphics processor would approach ray tracing. It's a highly technical filing, but looks like it involves tweaks to the hardware on board the PS5. Since the current models wouldn't be able to accommodate it, this could well mean it'll play a role in a PS5 Pro down the line. We also don't know whether a PS5 Pro would come in two editions, one with a disk drive and one without, like the standard PS5 has. It might be that at the more premium end of the market, the disk drive is simply more widely accepted as part of the complete package. Buying a PS5 console is pretty difficult due to limited stocks. PlayStation fans have to wait for a PS5 restock every month to have a chance at buying one. However, many potential buyers are unable to get one due to limited stocks that get sold out in minutes. That being said, the launch of PS5 Pro will allow Sony to push out additional units of these consoles, which could address the availability issue. PS5 Pro's release date, specs, and price haven't been officially confirmed yet. You may have to wait for a really long time for the console refresh. However, PS5's prices may decrease after PS5 Pro launches. If you cannot wait for the price drop, you can go ahead and buy PS5, as both consoles will play the same games with better quality on PS5 Pro. But if you can buy an expensive 8K TV to experience PS5 Pro in all its glory, then you might as well wait for the upgrade. You'll always get a better deal if you wait. That's just the nature of technology. However, the PS5 is an excellent console that has great games you can play right now. Yes, a PlayStation 5 Pro will be able to provide a better overall experience, but just think how much fun you'll be missing out on by waiting. The next big Sony event is going to be all about their PSVR 2. That is a genuinely exciting piece of hardware that we can't wait to play with. After that, we hope they at least announce a PS5 Slim or, better yet, a PS5 Pro. The TCL leak sounds too good to be true, and they are probably speculating about the simple video output of the console. Games running at 4K and 120 FPS. That would be the dream. But speaking about technical limitations, super beefy PC struggle to hit those numbers. What chance can a fixed-price console have?